Another busy weekend in the capital, and I went out and about and spoke to people on the ground. Here's what pro-Islamic regime protesters, or Stop the War protesters in London, had to say to me.
Well, we're here to, defend Iran. Obviously, the US and Israel have gone after the country and already taken out their leader. And, it's part of a wider backlash against the kind of countries who don't quite align with US imperialism. So we think it's important to take a side, for the working class to take a side as well.
What do you feel about the other protesters? That I think some of them are gathering up in Trafalgar Square. They say they're Iranians who are anti-Ayatollah, anti the Islamist regime there. What do you say to those people who are supposedly celebrating today?
Well, I think we have to be clear, that it matters who takes out the government. Trump rule in Iran is not going to make the situation there any better for anyone.
Where are you guys from? Where are you from? Italy, lovely.
Personally, I think the whole thing's a complete and utter disaster. And actually, Trump and Netanyahu, they're utter criminals and they have no right trying to shape the world the way that they want it, actually just for resources and for the fact that they don't like brown people and religions that they don't like. And quite frankly, I think, I would send them off to space in a spacecraft with not enough fuel. Just imagine if Israel hadn't been formed, actually there would be peace in the Middle East. Actually, that would, the biggest warmongers are Israel and America. And it is, I'm not religious, but it is so desperately wrong what they have been doing to the world, the way that Israel has committed the most heinous crimes since pre-1948. It was formed out of terrorist organisations. The term terrorist was actually created because of the Israeli gangs.
Well, I've come here to annoy that lot.
You've come here to annoy that lot, right?
I come here to voice my opinion about what that lot are doing.
And what's your opinion about what they're doing?
Well, I think it's disgusting. This Ayatollah has killed 40,000 of his own people, and they're supporting him. Disgusting. If anyone's the traitors, they are.
I'm a qualified Iranian lawyer, and I've been practicing law in Iran for over a decade, and I think I'm more qualified than lots of people here, and I'm law graduated from the UK. So I think I'm more qualified than a lot of people to give opinion about this.
And tell me, how do you feel about the war in Iran? It's now a week into the war. How do you feel?
I don't think I can talk about that, but it's just very stressful when I live in Tehran and my family lives in Tehran. I know that they left. So currently it's safe, but some of my friends, they live in Minab and they have kids in that age. I don't know if those over 100 girls that have been killed, people in Minab is one of them. Yeah, it's just very, very difficult moment for us, and I hope that never, ever we have any war.
Yeah, and there's always one idiot amongst the crowds. Here's a clip of that.
We don't have a side as far as it goes. Okay? We want the working people to be in charge.
This is the sort of stuff we get at GB News when we're trying to we're not antagonising anybody, we're just trying to report the facts. We get people like this, fortunately, coming up to us. It's just race baiting, of course, isn't it? Of course, this is what we're trying to do, just trying to report the facts, not antagonising anybody. And we've got people like this gentleman, who's actually been at protests before.
Hi guys, do you know who GB News is?
Yeah.
They're scum. True or false?
Here, asking people about their race, where's somebody from, what colour are they? You're the one race baiting, and I'm the one here actually asking people, why do you think it's important to come out here today? I think I've proven my point, and I think you should go and do your job and speak to the people here that have come out today to give their time up to speak to people.
There's always one, isn't there? He wouldn't leave us alone. But now look at the difference between that protest and the other one just up the road. Which one do you think had more actual Iranians attend?
Now outside Downing Street here with anti-Islamic regime protesters.
I think this protest is absolutely wonderful. Of course, I'm at every single protest they do. The Iranian community are very well integrated. They are, above all else, English patriots as well. They love this country. They love the fact we've taken them in. And, I've stood alongside them for about 3 months every single day outside that wretched embassy at Hyde Park, and they're just brilliant people. And so what I think about this protest is the fact that it's very civil. It's very civilized. These people, they evidently care about Britain as much as they care about their own country, and we should do everything in their power to support them.
The people are here gathering. We are the organizer on every Saturday, but the whole weekend, both Saturday and Sundays, we have rallies, which we want to make sure the British publics are aware of what's happening in Iran.
Here for the people in Iran. I'm too old now, but people in Iran, the kids are being shot at the streets, and nobody says a word. Basically in UK, throughout Europe was the same, but gradually it's changing in EU. Because especially Germany and Austria, Italy, I know Belgium, I think Secretary of State for Defense came to Munich, and it's supporting the Iranian people. We need more voice. The reason we do not get coverage on the main media, major medias, is because it doesn't fit their narratives. If we were here, anti-Israeli slogan, you could see it would have been on BBC, everywhere.
It's our country, and it's our history, it's our culture, and we want to go back. Truly, everyone wants to be in their mother nation, and we want to go back, and we want everyone to be happy. We want people to be safe. We've seen our family members die. They protested for freedom, and they were fighting for freedom, and in front of them there were guns, and they were shooting them, and they were throwing tear gas, and there was old people. Like, I've seen horrendous videos. I don't want to put it out there, but it's like really, really bad. And we're here to change that. We're here to finally change the situation in our country for once.
Thank you, Trump. Thank you, Netanyahu, for helping us because they are helping us against terrorist regime.
I want to see Britannia don't support Mullah, please. Close embassy. We don't want Mullah. We don't want Mullah. We don't want Mullah Javid Shah. Khamenei has died.
This is this man.
Terrorist.
This is the son of Khamenei.
Yes.
Yes. And you want you're burning his picture here?
Yes.
I mean, I personally, and I can speak for majority of Iranians, certainly the thousands that are behind me, and I can confidently speak for the people inside Iran, that it is their will and their want to have these attacks on the Islamic Republic. I think those individuals are entitled to their opinion. That's the beauty of living in the UK. Democracy is a beautiful thing. But I would like to ask them this question. When 40,000 plus people were killed, did they then take to the streets and contest that? Did they take to the streets and oppose the brutal killing of millions and thousands of innocent children? What are you standing for? Are you truly standing for human rights? Or is this convenient theories for you just because the countries that are doing the attacks may not align with your political ideologies and opinions? Iran's situation, the massacre that has happened in Iran, is not to be used to push forward any individual's agenda or their political opinion.
Using the internet without a VPN, a virtual private network, is a bit like taking to the road without car insurance. All it takes is one unlucky moment to cost you a lot of cash. This video's sponsor is Private Internet Access. They are the VPN to help keep you safe. Click the link in the description below to find out why over 30 million people have downloaded PIA to protect themselves online. A virtual private network is an app that hides your IP address and helps keep your data private. When you're browsing the internet at home, you give up a large amount of data to businesses, to shops, and indeed to social media giants too. Hackers have the ability to steal your personal data with ease, including sensitive information such as passwords, keystrokes, and even your personal photos. Private Internet Access helps protect your personal data by encrypting your internet connection to keep your data out of the hands of cybercriminals. And it's not just hackers either to be concerned about. Information can be censored too. When Canada passed their C-18 bill, social media giants decided to ban news content on their platforms. But PIA can protect your ability to consume the news and content you love. Private internet access is available for Windows users, Mac OS, Android, Linux, iOS, and you can use one PIA subscription to protect an unlimited amount of devices. And we've got a huge GB News discount for you too. Click the link in this video's description and you'll get a massive 83% off PIA. That's under £2 a month, the price of a coffee, and you'll get an extra 4 months completely free on top. Also, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee too. Visit piavpn.com/GB News to start protecting yourself digitally today.
And perhaps the maddest part of the day is when the anti-Islamist regime protesters came just metres away from an entirely different protest. Not a Stop the War protest, but a protest for what I think was full of just left-wing feminists, basically.
Now at the literal epicentre of two protests. We've got a End the Violence Against Women protests here, End the Violence Against the Far Right on my right-hand side or your left-hand side, and on the other side here we've got the anti-Islamic regime protest here. The Iranian people here today gathered. On the other hand here, these are not anti-war protesters, might I add. These are fighting for women's rights here. But again, you can see the contrast here between the two protests. This is a women's only march organised today. So much going on in London. Is this the new capital now? Weekends constantly mired with protests on either side of the divide. But of course, you can see quite a stark contrast between the two groups here today.
And there you have it. That was how that day played out. And I think this is the thing. I'll bring this straight into you, Peter. It seems to me that regardless of whatever you think of these protests, London is turning into a capital of division. That is becoming very difficult for the Met Police to handle. And what's your take on everything you've just seen?
Happy International Women's Day.
Indeed.
Let's get that out of the way. Look, the contrast is stark. The people who were from Iran, who have settled in the UK, who want to see the end of that regime, were articulate, polite, and gave very well-reasoned arguments forward. The other lot, purple air, absolute nonsense, drivel, like not only factually incorrect, but just absolute tosh. The contrast is clear. And we are ever more getting sectarian, divided on faith grounds, predominantly, and others. But let me just point out, and I'm not going to let this go. In the earlier segment, Aisha said to me what I can and can't say, right? Told me what I can't say. Typical of the left, the intolerance of the left. They don't like people saying stuff that they disagree with. And that was perfectly encapsulated by you trying to shut me down and telling me what I cannot say. Well, do you know what? I can say whatever I like within the bounds of the law, and I will.
Aisha?
Well, that's fine, Peter. I wasn't trying to shut you up. I just disagreed with what you said.
No, you told me what I can't say.
Okay.
Rewind the tape. You know, words are important.
Okay.
What did you think of seeing the two sides of the protest then? What did you think? You know, one side, it was the group in the anti-war coalition group, they were meant to be, they said they don't want this war, they're saying Iranians don't want this war. But it was the footage doesn't lie, does it, Aisha? No. The footage doesn't lie. They were mostly British people on that side, socialist, communist groups. I saw all of the stalls, all of the banners. And when you go up the road to the Iranian side, well, that is all Iranians. Do you think there's a disconnect between the left and actually what the reality is of what people want?
So what I've seen, obviously, I have Iranian friends. I have friends who actually were persecuted under the Shah, and they came to the UK. They were given refugee status here, and they are actually against the regime, as I am. I feel that the regime. We saw 15,000 plus protesters slaughtered on the streets. It was horrific, and again, you're going to see lots of different camps, and this is something. There's such a nuanced, lots of of nuances going on. You have people that are going to support the regime. You're going to see people who are against the regime, but don't want it to get bombed, don't want Iran to be bombed. You're going to see people who are supporting the protesters, and they want to get rid of religion.
But my point is, you're right, there is a lot of nuance, but my point is that the vast majority of people, the Iranian group, 95% of which when I was there were Iranians, versus the Stop the War group, which seemed to be the same old cabal of Free Palestine, of socialist and communist party people. It was more like a political day out for them. Do you see what I mean? Is there not a disconnect between what the Iranian people might want? Not all of them, for sure, but the vast majority of the ones that I spoke to. I found one Iranian person to speak to at the Stop the War, and the rest I could speak to Iranian people all day at the other one.
Well, look, I've been an organiser for the Women's March London in the past, and we as organisers, we can organise, but we have no control of who turns up. And we've seen the last couple of years of people turning up to protest, like you mentioned, the pro-Palestinian marches as well. And some of those elements within the march, within those marches, have just been absolutely crazy. They've just, very anti-Semitic and very offensive. But we're in this country. One of the protesters mentioned we're in a democracy, freedom of speech. We're allowed to do this. We wouldn't be allowed to do this in other countries.
I love that, and I love that. And it was nice. I like it when I'm able to go to protest and people like that bloke who will let me do my job, because I'm not there to agitate people. No. I just want to hear their views. Adam, do you think there's a disconnect between the left and the reality of the thing that's happening on the ground?
Massively. I have to ask, are many of those paid protesters? If you did a Venn diagram of the trans movement, the pro-Palestine movement, that movement, there seems to be the same faces there. Do I believe white middle-class students in kefirs, or do I believe the Iranians or relations of Iranians that have been persecuted? I believe the Iranians. There is one way to stop this, Alex. We are one of the only Western nations that haven't prescribed the IRGC as a terrorist group. What is Keir Starmer and this Labour government doing? Are they compromised in some way? There's no rhyme or reason why they haven't. And if they prescribe them, those marches can be stopped. Why aren't they doing it? That's what I've got to ask.
Peter, when I first got to the protest, there was a man holding a portrait of the now passed Ayatollah Khomeini. What do you think? Do you think that should be allowed?
Yes, of course. Yeah, if he's an utter lunatic, let him know what he wants. It's a picture of a bloke who's now dead. So, some people would want to parade down the street with pictures of lost service people who have served this country with courage and valour and honour.
The only reason I ask is because he was at war with us. He was the leader of the regime that was trying to bomb our bases. He died very quickly into the war, albeit, but he granted death to England. And I just worry if we embrace sectarianism too much and give too much leeway to that stuff. I mean, if I had walked around with a picture of Hitler around London, people would. I don't know, would I be arrested for that? I don't know.
Yes, you would.
Would I?
Yes, you would.
Yeah.
For inciting. No, you would be, for incitement.
Yeah, there might be a public order offence, I would think. Somebody would probably need to be arrested for your own safety. You should clearly be off your rocker if you're going to do that.
I'm not suggesting I'm going to do
of course, the Iranian regime has propagated, paid for and spread terror, murder, death and hatred around the world. And if it had its way, it would wipe all of us out now and every member of the audience.
Very briefly.
And just quickly, the left were very quick to want Roman Abramovich to give his hundreds of millions to the taxpayer. This new Supreme Leader, Ayatollah, reportedly has hundreds of millions of pounds of London property.
Heard this.
Right? Can that not be taken? If they prescribe the IRGC, the government probably would have powers to take that. It's a question to ask.
It's a good point. There's a lot more to happen on that because, of course, they have announced a new leader, haven't they? It's the second son, Mojtaba. Thank you very much.
I wouldn't even bother.
But anyway, now time